Are you looking to build a career in media? In this episode, we're going to go deeper in this subject and cover all the essential points that you really need to know. Welcome to the Zista Podcast, where we invite people from the industry and academia to answer questions and queries that students have within specific subject areas. Our focus for today is media, and joining me today is Rajeshwari Narayan. Rajeshwari is the General Manager for Talent at Media Brands. She has over 18 years of experience, and actually she started her career in media handling strategy, planning, and buying for various clients. She's worked with amazing firms like Triton, Starcom Mediavest, Lodestar, and currently she's with Media Brands. As you know, it's the Media and Marketing Solutions division of the Interpublic Group. Now, Media Brands is a big firm. They're 150 employees strong, have 14 group companies, and they operate from a network of 21 offices across India. I'd like to say, thank you for joining us and making time for this session, Rajeshwari. We're delighted to have you with us today.
Thanks, Amit. I resonate the same feelings.
Fantastic. So let's jump straight into it.
Sure.
I wanted to kind of start by asking you, what prompted you to, build a career in media and planning? How did you start?
Okay. So, Amit, why, we all do our masters, right? We do have to do a summer internship. So, I at that time wanted to do advertising with whatever you've got exposed to your curriculum in the college. I wanted to do something in advertising as a subject. So I was looking out for internships in advertising, and my whole idea was to get into advertising, which is client servicing in an ad agency, not actually media. But when I approached FCB Ulka for an internship, I landed up an internship in the media department. So at that time, there were no media agencies as such. All large advertising agencies had a media department.
I remember that.
Later on, we just got on our own, and we have now media agencies standalone, right? And there are advertising agencies, which are called the creative agencies. So I actually wanted to join a creative agency doing servicing, probably in Ulka or any of those kind of places. But when I landed in the internship, I was told you are going to be getting interned at the media department. So I said, okay, fine, it's a good name to have and you get experience. So let me at least start off. So that's when I think I got fascinated by this whole media industry, the kind of people. I think it's more also the kind of people who I interacted with at my stint of 2 months at Lodestar UM when I was doing my media. My mentors and the entire team there, and the kind of work I was doing on that project which was given to me. I think that's what made me get me a clear vision saying that when I finish my MBA, I am going to hunt and find a media agency and find a job in that place and nowhere else at all. So I think that's where I decided media agency it is.
I think it makes a lot of sense. We get a taste of something and then, we may enter saying, okay, I want to do A, but when you try something different, you realize that this is something good. I'm enjoying it, right? And I've always been fascinated by media. In fact, when I started my career, I actually started out in media sales. And my job was to interact with people who are planning and buying. And it was a really good experience, I would say. So I've had, some good exposure to that, right? I wanted to ask you, and I while I know the difference myself, I think it will really help if, for the sake of the students who are tuning in, if you could, touch upon the difference between, the three elements: strategy, planning, and buying in the context of media, and also if you could maybe, walk us through, how do you approach a media campaign,
Yeah. So I'll tell you, the start of it is always with a media brief,
right?
Like as a client, we get a media brief from the client side, which is part of the marketing team, right? So you have a marketing brief, and then you have an advertising brief and a media brief. They're all parts and parcel of one chain of events. So we get the media brief in terms of what is the expectation from the client side, who's sitting at the brand team, in terms of what do they expect out of this campaign. So there could be various types of campaigns, right? You could have a launch campaign where you're launching a brand, and that requires a different kind of approach and a different kind of strategy and planning. Whereas there could be a campaign which is a well-to-know brand, which is already in the media and in the eyes of the consumer. But how do you sustain? So there's a sustenance kind of a campaign, right? Sure. It also depends on the kind of period of the year you're going to be coming in, whether it's for launching or sustaining, because now the H2, this part of the year now is going to be really crazy on media. Right?
Absolutely.
Festive time, and this is the time when you can milk, right? Any client or any marketing team would, this is your opportunity, right? You have the H2 right now to do whatever, right? From Ganesh Chaturthi, the whole festive thing will start, right?
Absolutely.
So it all depends on various aspects, the category in which you're functioning, what kind of competitors are in your category. Because in a way, if you are a leader or if you're a pretty much category, you're the only one of the key players and the biggest ones, then that's a different approach. But if there are multiple players, and then you are there, and then you want that share of mind, right? You want that share of mind in that audience, then it's a different kind of an approach you will take. But having said that, media brief is our starting point, which we get it from the client in terms of a discussion, in terms of what they're wanting to look at, in terms of what is the brand, a little essence about that, and at their end, what are they looking at? Some campaigns are corporate campaigns where you're building imagery. Some campaigns are campaigns where you want call to action, where you want somebody to actually walk into a dealership outlet and actually test drive a car, or you want somebody to go and explore that variant of a shampoo which you're launching, whatever that could be, right? So it all depends on what the client requirement is, and then accordingly the agency will work on. But having said that, the difference between a strategy planning and the investment, which is the buying part. So strategy, Amit, comes in terms of the overall, when you're launching a particular campaign or when you're launching a brand, you will look at various aspects, consumer, the competition, what is the kind of product you have, what is the kind of penetration it has, what is the kind of distribution it has. There are various things to look at, and then you will arrive at an overall strategy in terms of what you need to do for the brand, right? So you will analyze competition, you will analyze the previous campaigns, you will analyze the previous campaigns of your current brand. You look at the market scenario, you will look at the kind of thresholds you need to be at every particular market or state in the country to achieve that share of voice, which is what you need to recommend. We will also look at competition share of voices to come at an ideal threshold level, because anything suboptimal doesn't make sense, right? Because ultimately the client is invested their money. So you need to give them the best ROI. So you look at various aspects and you'll actually go back to the client with a strategy in terms of recommending what is the best medium or what is the best multi-medium use. Because today nobody is using one medium at all, right? People are using multi-mediums. So what is the best multi-medium approach you need to do to get the best return on investment given the budget the client has? So that's our first approach. Obviously, there are multiple tools and softwares and media reports and, stuff which we go through and analyze, and a lot of research and a lot of number crunching goes at the back end to come and deliver or, approach and give them the right strategic outline or the, what outlook you need to do. And some of these softwares are media softwares which are part of the media industry. A lot of large agencies also have proprietary softwares they've developed by themselves, which also gives you a deeper dive into the audience or a deeper cut. So you'll have a larger cut with the industry would have, which is what normal software or tools which any agency today has in the country. But larger agency or companies also have proprietary tools which they will create, which will give a finer tuning, which it helps you just that much more sharp focus the kind of target audience or the kind of way you want to target the whole campaign. So strategies and overall build in that sense to get back and recommend saying what medium, what do you need to do, and also with the crux of the brand essence, what can you do in terms of a larger than life, creation in terms of innovation or brand connects and all those various ideations and ideas also come into the strategy piece, overall recommendation. Post that, but then you get into the planning phase. If the client asks you saying, I agree with your approach, let's go with TV and print and radio, for example, or let's go with TV, print, and digital, whatever they agree. The next stage is to plan on each medium. Then you will get into planning. Now, planning will be the nitty-gritties in terms of, okay, I want to do television. What are my priority one markets, priority two markets? Where do I need to put in television? If it's priority one markets, are there regional markets? Then probably should I look at a regional budget channels if TV is my go, or if print is my go, based on the audience? Should I look at regional print as an option? Or if it's a all India mass campaign, then should I look at channels which give me the spread all India, especially the Hindi speaking market? There's a different way of approaching it. You will get into nitty-gritties of what channel should I do, what genre should I do, depending again on the target audience, right? If it's more of a female-centric brand, then do you want to look at your general entertainment channels like the GACs or Hindi movies? If it's more of a younger audience, do you want to look at music, and do you want to look at some other channels? It all depends on the kind of TG or targeting and the kind of market. But this is where you get into the nitty-gritty of the planning actually to see you'll optimize your plan to see that you get the best, share of voice. But you will decide exactly which channel you actually then get into within the channel. What are the kind of programming you want to attack or programming you want to, target towards? That's where your buying piece or your investment piece comes in, because you suppose I identify, let's say I want to do ZTV. Now I have a particular budget or whatever. I will need to talk to the media partner. So they are also part of our ecosystem. So there's a media agency and then there's a media partner side. That's how the media industry is built, right? So I will be approaching the media channel person at TV to understand, saying that, hey, this is the kind of budget, this is my kind of, this is the brand, and these are the kind of tentative timelines for when I don't want to put it on air. Let's work on deal for them in that sense. And that's where we will be sitting with them and negotiating on the buying aspect in terms of what is the best we can give. So various types of deals get done, which have various different components, prime time, non-prime time, how much do you want to do? Again, basis your target audience. If it's more female-centric, do you want to do more of afternoon and everything in not evening? If it's completely a male kind of dominated client or a category, you'll probably do prime time and weekends, because, in that sense, you'll just figure out how you want to sharp focus your, deal. You'll also look at the kind of CPRPs or the kind of GRPs each time band is giving you, because you have to maintain an overall cost for your client, right? So you need to look at that per rating point and various other angles to finally arrive at what works for the channel as well as the agency. And there's a lot of to and fro which keeps happening at that end. And then once, you finalize all the whole, what is the entire deal on that particular channel, and then you'll work out your plan. Planning also gets into a part of implementation after this main planning, where, you actually sit and schedule, or you actually put the plan in place, right? You can actually see the plan saying there are 50 channels or whatever channels, and this is how it pans out, and this is when I'm starting, and how do you want to load the campaign? You want to front load it and then, sustain it, or you want to do it equal across every week? If it's a launch, you want to first, you want to front load it and then slowly,
taper it down.
Taper it down. Depends on that. And you'll, accordingly do your scheduling, and you'll actually get your spots. And then it goes on to the other thing, which is the implementation operations team should actually send out the release orders to the channels or the publications. We can send it to them saying, this is the date, this is the ad size. I will, obviously the creative team will give us the creative, but please block this space for me, or, get this amount of seconds on television, or block this space on this page here, because I will be sending out the creative, and that's how the whole campaign, gets on air. There's also, evaluation one does in terms of during the campaign. If it's a longish campaign, like a 4-week, 6-week campaign, maybe 2 weeks down the line, we will evaluate how the campaign has been doing. So is there some changes you want to do? Suppose some channels are performing, because performance is all based on what competition is having at that particular time and what's happening in the surrounding, right? So suppose you realize a particular channel is not doing well, or something is not actually going, talk to the channel to see what they can do in terms of managing the commitment, right? Because I've done a commitment to the clients. Or do you want to pull in the money and put it somewhere else? So we do mid-campaign evaluations of the whole process. And then at the end, obviously, we will finally finish the whole campaign, and then obviously present an entire post-evaluation to the client, saying, what were we planning at the beginning? What did we set out for? What did we achieve, not achieve? Reasons for not achieving, because, both sides, when you over-deliver, it's kind of a problem. Even if you under-deliver, it's a problem. Because when you over-delivering, obviously the client will say, why so much extra money, right? I could have just saved the money or put it somewhere else. If you under-deliver...
No pat on the back for over-delivering,
No, in that sense. Because then it's the money, right? Because I'm over-delivering, then why should I have had, let's say, 100 spots on that channel if I could have managed with 80, right? Because I didn't want this kind of number, for example, in this stage.
Sure.
So, but there will be under-delivering over-delivering here and there, because it's a dynamic market. You are going with past history of data to recommend something, but assuming the trend is pretty robust, it won't be like radically different, but some changes will happen, right? Which is why we try and do mid-campaign evaluation, which just helps me be the thick and thin, saying, okay, abhi kya ho raha hai and what should I do so that I can make some tweaks, right? So that's your entire planning piece. So in a nutshell, this is what, kind of how we do the strategy and the planning, and then the investment buying piece comes together, and then the action of the campaign.
Thanks for that. I like the way you broke it down. And when I was listening to you, I got the distinct feeling that what we're doing as in the media field has a little bit of science and a little bit of art. And I would say that the science piece is coming from, of course, crunching your data, making very data-driven decisions, right? Yeah. And the art element comes in the subjective choices you make. So if for a given brand, let's assume you want to ride on GECs or general entertainment channels. Which channels specifically, which programs specifically, those are really important calls to take. And I'm sure the software helps you to
Of course.
identify, the anchor programs on any given channel. But over and above that, there are a lot of calls that you need to make as a media planner. Follow your instinct, especially say, for example, if you want to go deeper and wider in a regional market, so it's having a good balance between, say, for example, for a given campaign, you may want to have some channels which are national channels, but you supplement that with some regional channels, and
Yep.
then you achieve your share of voice objective, or your GRP objective, as the case may be. So it's really interesting, the
Yeah.
art and science element in media, right? Coming specifically to media, what are some of the skills and competencies that you look for when you're hiring media talent? Could you touch upon that?
Sure. So we do a robust campus recruitment program, and I believe
Okay.
it, for the organization. We've been doing it over the years, right from the time when we were part of FCB Ulka. Also now, when we're part of Media Brands, we do this robust campus engagement program, and it's not only about hiring talent; it's about engaging with the campuses, engaging with the students right in the beginning, right? It's not just
Right.
about going with the time of campus and just doing your interviews and getting it. It's a long-lasting relationship. It's a relationship which is built over years, sustained, and that. So, when we go out to campuses to hire freshers who as such will not have experience of doing hardcore, work on media in that sense, I think a couple of things, Amit, what we look at is the first thing we clearly look at is the attitude. The
Absolutely.
attitude of the person, the mindset of the person, eagerness to learn, keen to, understand new things, somebody who's inquisitive, who's wanting to will be asking questions, saying why this, why not that, or question people and stuff like that, right? So I think at a fresher level, we're looking at more of the attitude with which the person comes in at the interview levels, which we have some three rounds of interviews in that sense. Uh, Not much on the skill because they will not know, and there's no point in me asking them. How do you plan media, right? Because they'll probably give me an answer which is theoretical, because some of the institutes do have some specific sessions
Basic
where they have a
modules
guest,
that they may
or
cover.
they have a guest lecturer coming in and giving them a little idea. But otherwise, most of these courses are marketing courses where very little touching upon may happen on digital media or media per se.
Right.
A
Right.
little bit of it does happen. Some of the specific courses, we do have some institutes which get into mass media and which get into media management, where some people have some more knowledge. They sometimes have some software understanding because the university will have some sessions where they can work on the media softwares and stuff. But having said that, we completely look at people who have the right attitude, who have the hunger and the drive, and people who want to actually make careers in media. Not
Mhm.
people who have done an MBA in marketing. You've come to me, you're saying it's a media job, I'll do this. Tomorrow, if somebody else comes and says, there's a sales
This is
job.
marketing research. Go, yeah.
So we don't want that. We want people who are very sharp focusing. I want to make a career in media. And this is where I am. And attitude-wise, they are the right kind of attitude. And of course, somebody very clearly who's very good at numbers, or at least doesn't have a number phobia. There are a lot of us who have number phobia. That's a part of life. That's a fact,
That's true.
right? Not everybody is comfortable with numbers and looking at numbers and crunching numbers whole day, right? Because that's your life as a media planner, at least in the starting stages. And you have to get your hands dirty on the numbers to understand categories, to understand media, to understand the mediums. You have to do that. You have no escape to it. You have to get your hands dirty at the grassroots level, right? For that, you have to be very good at numbers. And it's not about 1 plus 1 equals to 2, right? You're looking at Excel sheets that are filled with a lot of numbers, and you actually see the recommendation of a strategy or your recommendation of a plan comes out from that number piece. So somebody who completely is not okay with numbers, or who's a little petrified with numbers, definitely not the job for them at all. Because yes, you need to have creativity and you need to have out of the box thinking, definitely. But number crunching cannot be escaped,
True.
right? It's not a creative job in alone, standalone. It is a creative job along with a lot of number crunching. So we're very clear that people who are averse with that, we would not recommend, or some people openly tell us, sorry, numbers is not my issue. So then,
Just out of curiosity, I want to ask you, and I'm not sure if you have a ready answer for this, but um, there's so much talk about how AI is impacting different industries, right? And let's say if you look at a crystal ball, look into the future, and you have a media planner in the future having an AI assistant who's doing a lot of the number crunching and trying to create these trends trying to make forecasts, trying to make projections on the basis of certain input data that you enter in the system. So do you think, a media planner in the future would, you'd still need to have an ability to work with numbers, but maybe the crunching element would go down a bit? Do you foresee that?
See, it will go down a bit, and not only with AI right now, Amit. So, a lot of agencies have specific people. I won't call them data entry operators, but equivalent to a data entry operator, which a lot of other industries have, right?
Sure.
Whose job is probably just to sit on spreadsheets and just keep, entering numbers,
Sure.
right? So a lot of agencies today, that kind of drudgery, right, which is there. So, of course, as a fresher, we expect people, or we want them to get into that, get their hands dirty, because they need to understand that, right? So that they can then move up. But at the same time, a little bit of automation is already happening.
Right.
So it may not be exactly AI in that sense, but definitely a lot of automation from where, when I started off in the media industry to today, where we have kids joining us and we hire 15, 20, 25, 30 as a batch every year almost.
Right.
There is a lot of difference we see, because as an industry, there's a lot of investment which is happening in terms of automation. So a lot of data does get automated. So you as an person sitting and looking at the data is actually looking at a dashboard, probably powered by a Power BI or something else, which just gets you to pull stuff and get some amount of base data. But yes, having said that, I don't think so there's any replacement, because when the data comes in, I need to use my understanding and my knowledge and my thought and thinking to actually now reproduce that into a strategy that nobody else can do. That a backend software or something which gets me. Yes, but a lot of automation today has happened compared to where we were probably 10, 15 years back.
Exactly.
To just help the humongous data, to try and consolidate it better, to try and get the easy visibility to it. But once you may have easy visibility or easy access, but the work of a media person, right, in terms of a strategy recommendation or working on the plan, will still be there, because that is something which I need to use my brain and think about the brand and the consumer and everything, which a robot or a computer or any AI cannot do.
Right. I was smiling because, a thought occurred to me, and, the thought was basically, while, you need to be really good with numbers, and of course, that is a core competence that is a must, right? One thing that also I think flows from that is your ability to paint a picture. So you're an artist, or to tell a story, using that data. So you're a storyteller.
Absolutely.
So media professionals are people who work with data, but are also artists and storytellers in their own right?
Yeah.
So you can go to a client and very passionately argue, but this is what the data is saying. No, I can see this, as a client who may not have that same level of knowledge or passion, even say, yeah, I agree or I disagree.
Yeah. No, so very true, because the data gives us a cue to actually make an entire story. So when you see some of our presentations or whatever we do, it all flows in, right? And how does it flow in? That flows in because of the data, but obviously that flows in because of the person or the team which is thinking on that and putting up that entire flow or that story, right? So it all comes in together, and that comes in together because it's the team working on that and ideating and brainstorming to come up with that beautiful piece of communication, which you actually end up, sharing with the client.
Right. Absolutely. I want to kind of ask you one more question, if that's okay, in terms of, if there are any tips that you want to share with, say, a student who is an aspiring media professional, is there something that they can do to prep themselves, or some content they can read up, to be better prepared? Any advice that you can give them?
Sure. So, Amit, even when I meet students from campuses, I keep telling them, we work on a lot of spreadsheets, Excel, right? And all of us, when we've done MBAs, we've worked on Excel, but they're not very advanced. And today, online, you have a plethora of websites which give you courses after courses on basic Excel, advanced Excel, part 1, part 2, and phase 1, phase 2. So I keep telling all these kids, please go through those. Even kids who we hire from universities or these schools, not all of them are very good at Excel. We tell them, this is your starting stage. You join us now. You're going through anyway media training. We will also take you through some Excel training, but along with that, you need to actually undertake some of these courses. So any kind of Excel courses will really help them because you work on huge numbers and it's always easy if you have some shortcuts. It just helps you that much to save time when you're working on the data, right? For the client.
Absolutely.
Definitely, we tell them on that. A lot of also today, we are no longer as such offline, right? We work on the media recommendations, so it could be digital also. There is only digital marketing courses which are online. There are
Right.
Google certifications, there are Facebook certifications and stuff. So we also urge some of these kids to try and do some of those certifications because just helps you get an added plus when you're sitting in for campus interviews or whenever you want to make a career in media. Other thing is there are a lot of books written by people within the industry or from the marketing brand side on media planning, on media buying, books, physical copies, online copies, whatever you want. Get those books, get a hang of that because a lot of institutes today, like I said, may have a guest lecture of few things, but go deep diving into a particular subject. But if you want to become an expert or you want to start off your career in media, whether it's a media agency or whether it's a media partner, it's all part of the same ecosystem. Read those books. Those books will give you some amount. Also read books on brand building. Because ultimately, what are you doing? You're building the brand along with the marketing. You're doing no different. Ultimately, you are part of the marketing team. You're an extension of the marketing team of any client, right? So today, if I'm working on a particular client, yes, I may not be sitting in the client's office, but I am an extension of their team. The team together, which is the creative team, the media team, and the marketing brand team together builds brands, right? So we build brands and, we make brands successful. That's how they make us successful. It's all in hand. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Right? So reading on brands, brand building, how do you build brands? I think there are lovely books written by a lot of people within the advertising, creative and media industry fraternity. People, kids should go through those. Excel is a must. Of course, communication and, adding the capability of talking, giving presentations confidently, talking in small groups, talking one-on-one, all those things, I guess somewhere, I think in your masters, you get opportunities to, brush up those
Practice
skills.
those. Yes.
Practice those. You may not need that because you will have that. And of course, once you join in, as and when you start working in the corporate world, you will get exposed to that. So I think that's not something which is actually required. But of course, we need people who are sharp at communication skills, who can talk well in English, who can present well and stuff. We do see also those evaluation parameters while interviewing students from, university, schools and stuff like that.
Great. I like the way you answered that. And I think, it will help students to really understand what they can do to get that slight edge because all said and done, the difference might be a little minute, but it sometimes really helps someone to stand out,
Yeah.
So some really good advice about getting familiar with Excel and other spreadsheet kind of software, being good at communication skills, reading books on media, reading books on branding. To that, perhaps I would add, reading books on psychology, consumer psychology will also be really helpful. And, media is such an interesting industry. I want to kind of wrap by asking you one last question, and, it's perhaps going to be the toughest one to answer. In the course of your career, you worked with so many brands. You worked on hundreds of campaigns, right? And I've really seen the industry personally. I've seen it witness so many changes, right? And you've been so close to the action. The way I've witnessed it or perceived it is, I would say, at the surface level compared to you've been living and breathing through it, right? So the industry is constantly transforming. It's so dynamic. It's really amazing. In the course of your career, I wanted to ask you if you can highlight a specific project that was really close to your heart, or a media innovation that you're really proud of, or perhaps a tectonic shift in the industry after which the industry was never the same after it happened. Anything you can share on that front?
Sure. So, in my media career, yes, I have something which is very, very close to my heart. And,
Okay.
You feel so proud of it. Like, you can still talk on that particular project for hours and hours is something we have done with Garnier. So,
Okay.
like you said, I've worked across multiple categories, multiple clients across all my stints across media agencies. But while I was working with Lodestar, we were working on L'Oreal as our client, and
Sure.
Garnier is part of L'Oreal as a brand. And we were working on a campaign because Garnier is a youth brand, but it was difficult to get the attention of youth and resonate. And stuff. So they're very cynical, right? Youth are very cynical. So how do you get their attention span, and what do we do to get them part of the process so that they understand Garnier and understand the philosophy of Garnier and try and believe in the brand and stuff like that. So I think we wanted to engage the youth in such a manner that they're part of the entire process, so that they are not cynical that somebody's just putting it onto you, because youth do not like that, right? Teens do not like that when you tell them. But if you make them part of the process, they love it. The same thing, but you make them part of the process, they love. You just put it onto them as a slap on their face, they'll just walk away, right? So
Right.
using that, we actually created a wonderful campaign along with Times of India for Garnier, and it was called as "Take Care, Take Charge." Take care is the sign off line or the tagline for Garnier, and we used that, and we created a beautiful campaign, a multimedia campaign where we engaged the youth, and we did something around the recycling of paper,
Okay.
right? And for every and we asked you to come up with an idea for every kg of paper we collected, and we actually said that the amount of paper we collect from the youth or from any place where we get, we will recycle it, and we'll create a first ever Green Times of India on
Okay.
World Environment Day, which was 4th June. So on 4th June we said, and we started off this campaign in the month of April uh, on World Environment Day, I think, and World Earth Day is, I think, on June, or one of them. I'm sure.
All right.
Sure on that.
Okay.
But we said we'll create a 45-day campaign where we said we will be collecting. So for every idea, we get from the youth in terms of sustainability, in terms of how do we make the environment more friendly in that sense, we will be collecting. For every idea, we'll collect 10 kgs of paper, and we'll recycle it, and we will launch an All India edition of Times of India, which is a first ever Green Day. We
Amazing.
got so many ideas. I think we got around 4,500 ideas. I don't exactly remember the number, but we got so many ideas from youth, and everybody got engaged in the campaign. We had a great share of market, and it showed in that, and the entire hype, right, or the whole. We had at that time our environment minister was Jairam Ramesh. He was part of some of those sessions we had of
Wow.
forums where we engaged them. We engaged some amount of youth celebrities and youth icons to be part of these campaigns for recycling, so that it resonates that much more. How how Bollywood is, or how cricket crazy the country is. It's something
Absolutely.
like that added to the campaign. It just takes your campaign to another level. Then to have Mr. Jairam Jamesh and people like that. So I think we did an entire campaign, and it was a lot of hard work in that sense, because you are doing a mega campaign as a project, but there's also your regular work which you're doing, right? You can't just tell
Sure.
your clients or even Garnier clients saying, I'm not going to put any of the campaigns on it because I'm working on this, right? And then you have other stuff also. But it was a very challenging phase of those three. I think we started off in the month of Jan, Feb, with the ideation, sitting the Times of India team, because you also had to have the right partner with you. And the reason we went to Times of India is because they are across, right? They are on they are multimedia, right? They will have, we use their online expertise, we use their print, we use their radio, we use television, we use everything together, so it was a complete partnership with them, and we managed this. Of course, you have a client having that belief, putting in that money, because it was not a very it was not a less investment kind of a project. It was on a huge investment, but
It was transformational, though, right? I mean,
yeah, it was.
yeah.
But Amit, a lot of clients may not see it like that, right? Because for them, you're putting in money, but a lot of clients may think, just put this money and do me a television plain Jane campaign, which is just put in my spots, right? You also have to be. I mean, you have to also
You have to be open-minded as a client.
Yeah,
To be
the
receptive.
client has to be
ideas like
open-minded,
that.
right? Because they can tell me that, hey, you're spending, let's say, 1 crore, for example. You please make a regular plan of 1 crore and give me, which is a television campaign,
Sure.
right? So that is anyway happening. But for a client to put in that time and investment and that money to actually do something which is beyond, which just creates that whole, next level transformational thing, not many clients can do it, right? And this I'm talking about quite a lot of years ago. So also now things have probably changed, but I'm just saying at that time. But yeah, but that got us a lot of awards. We in fact won the gold at Cannes for the first time in India,
Wow.
and for Lodestar UM that got us a gold in Cannes. And it's only about awards. For us, our belief is very clear. Do good work, awards will follow. So we don't do work thinking, ये हम करेंगे because हमको award चाहिए. That's not
Right.
what we look at. Right?
Right.
Yes, people may look at like that, but for us, our philosophy as an organization is that keep doing great work. It will get, felicitated or you will
Recognized,
get awards.
absolutely.
So
Right.
awards will follow because you're doing great, passionate work on clients. Not the other way saying मेरे को award चाहिए तो मैं अच्छा काम करूँ. Right? So it's the other way around. We just want to build brands with clients. We want to grow with clients. And I'm sure when we do great work, it will get seen. We will showcase it. It will get felicitated and we will win awards. I think that's the way we look at things. But yeah, that's a very close to my heart kind of a project which we worked on. Of course, there are multiple of them, but the one which comes to my head is the Ganya campaign.
Awesome. And thank you for, explaining in such detail. It actually helps me understand the impact that it made. I think the youth of India today are so powerful, so different, so motivated to really make a difference. And even way back then, obviously, you're talking about a campaign that you executed,
Yeah.
several years ago. But the point is, and it holds true even today, if you give the youth a platform to express their ideas, they have great ideas. If you give the youth a platform to, voice their opinion, they're more than happy to come forward. And I think Garnier as a brand gave them that platform, and it culminated in a totally green newspaper. Now that you mention it, I remember it was reported on several news channels, and I remember waking up one morning and also seeing that the color of the Times was different. It wasn't your usual white. So I also remember that, and, thank you for bringing it up.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's really the highlight, for any media professional to have worked on projects, not even one, maybe several of them, which are clutter breaking, impactful, make a big difference to the audience and not just to the brand, right? Ultimately, you're trying to work towards a brand objective, but a really deeper level of engagement, and I would say meaningful engagement, is a game changer, right?
Absolutely. And ultimately, it's for the consumer, right? I mean, you are a brand. Your brand is why, or why is it a brand, or why is it where it is? It's because of the audience, right? The consumer.
Absolutely.
So somewhere you have to tie that in back.
Okay. Thank you, Rajeshwari. I really enjoyed this discussion, and I want to thank you for making time for this session once again. It was
No
an
problem.
absolute delight hosting you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I had a really great time. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Pleasure's all ours. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Zista Podcast. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube to get more content like this. And in case you'd like to catch the audio podcast, you can most certainly go to Google, Apple, or Spotify. Our handle is the Zista Podcast. Till we meet again, our advice would be stay curious.